Welcome back, everybody, to the Travi Wavi. I'm your affable host, Travis Eason, local Renaissance man, podcaster, and artist extraordinaire. And we are bringing you yet another wonderful guest today on the Travi Wavi. Every Thursday morning around 10, we start live, and we invite you down to our local studios here, located in beautiful, historic downtown Abilene, Texas, the storybook capital of America. And we'd love to have you come down to the Neon Parrot Live studios and grab a cup of coffee next door at Majestic Coffee Shop, allegedly serving Onyx. Come and sit. We've got another little audience today. Tim, thanks for being here again. Sam, our producer extraordinaire, running around getting a lot of things done this morning. Well, let's get right into it. I've been really wanting to have Neil Santana on for a long time, and we finally made the connection and got it to happen. Neil, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is definitely a pleasure to be here.
Oh, good, man.
Travis, when you reached out, and I'll be honest with you, I was like, really? He really wants me in that show?
Yeah.
But it is such an honor, so I'm super glad that you invited me, and I am looking forward to having a fun conversation today.
We're going to have a good conversation for
Yes.
sure. So let me ask you the question I ask everybody the first time on. Do you have any siblings, Neil?
I do. I
Tell me
have
about them.
a younger brother.
Okay.
And there is something really interesting about that I need to tell you. I am only 1 month older than my brother.
I think we call that Irish twins.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. So my brother is 11 months younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I do not recall growing up, and then my parents telling me like, oh, you're going to have a little brother, or you're going to share now, your, toys with your brother. And kind of that memory doesn't exist. It's kind of, we just kind of grew up together like twins.
Mm-hmm.
And as you imagine, what I think the most, funny part about this is that we have the same age for 32 days, which is bizarre
That's
to me.
great.
Yes.
That's great.
His birthday is on July 21st. Mine is on August 23rd. And but between July 21st and August 23rd, we have the same age.
That's great.
It's really funny to kind of share the same age with your brother.
For a month.
Yes, for a
That's so
month.
fun.
That is not, a twin.
So do you guys stay in touch currently?
We stay in touch, and every time we go back to Brazil and visit, or just throughout the year, catching up on, what's going on, doing some, FaceTime, calls, and he moved to a different town, maybe like right after we kind of finished high school. And I stayed in the same town with my mother. He decided to go on to a nearby town. He was playing a band, actually
cool.
a drummer,
Very cool.
and decided to move on. And I think after he left, then he never went back home per se. He kind of made his life and was really independent from early on. So, but we stay in touch, and we get to see each other very often.
That's good. Does he have children?
So he married before me, before
Okay.
I did, and then he got 3 kids,
Okay.
1 son and 2 daughters.
Very cool.
From that marriage, and then I married after he, a couple of years maybe later, and then had our kids, and then also there is something funny about that too, because now my wife and I, we have been promoted to grandparents.
Congratulations.
Yes, it's been so much fun, and he's not. So although he had kids earlier than us, he's not a grandfather yet. And I keep telling him like, man, you're gonna really love it. It's really fun.
It is fun. And we're both grandparents now. A few weeks ago, I was in Tennessee for a family service for my aunt that passed, and I got to see my aunt and uncle, who I haven't seen in a long time. And they have my cousins, and my cousins are younger than I'm the oldest of all the grandkids on that side of the family. And anyway, my Aunt Carol and Uncle Steve, they are new grandparents, right? Like they've got 2 grandbabies, couple years old, But it was interesting because they're a generation older than I am, and we have this thing in common now as being grandparents. But it's kind of fun, right? It ties us all together.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that I guess there was something worthwhile for all the parenting that we did.
That's right, and it's so much different than parenting. I used to have friends telling me like, "Oh, you're gonna love grandparenting. It is much better than having kids." I thought it was kind of a little harsh when they told me that.
Yeah.
But now I understand what they meant, and it's really great. The love, the care is all there as one of your own. But when it comes then to maybe like disciplining and doing the kind of the hard part of it, it's kind of the parents' job to do that. We are fortunate enough to have them living in town, so we get to hang out very often. I take my granddaughter, who's now 2, Marcy. I take her to the daycare every Tuesday and Thursday morning before I go to ACU. So, pick her up at the house, drop her off, and then Tessia, my wife, who teaches at the same daycare, she brings Marcy home. So we get to hang out towards the end of the day.
Love that.
And then we play, we dance, and then we see her growing. And just last night, I was telling my wife, it is so nice to see the different phases that Marcy is going through right now. But my comment to my wife was like, and it's funny because I don't remember so much of that with our kids.
Yeah, it's like a blur.
Because I was also, like working 3 other jobs and, making sure that I was providing.
Yeah.
And so I think as we go through parenting, and we know we've done it, and we have great kids, and then now it's just like pure joy to have them and hang out with them.
It's like a good it's a reward.
It is really great, Travis. And again, we are fortunate enough for them to live in town, and we also have been blessed with a second now grandbaby. So a granddaughter, Marcy's sister.
Okay.
She's now about 4 weeks old.
Oh,
Maddie.
really?
So
this just happened since we chatted a few weeks ago.
Yes,
Congratulations.
early October.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So
I also have another little one on the way. Carter Dean will be here sometime in December or January. Yeah, I think January is the date, but my daughter's hoping that he'll come a little sooner.
It's a lot of fun. We are having a blast.
Yeah.
We are enjoying every moment, and it is really a blessing. We appreciate that.
That's good. So, Neil, I was trying to think earlier today when we first met. You're a professor at ACU. You teach graphic design and art and some photography still.
Yes.
But I didn't ever have you as a professor, and I'm trying to. It might have been TED Talks, but I want to say it was the Makers Lab that brought us together first.
I would say yes. I think I remember when I was first teaching at ACU. I remember seeing you maybe hanging out with Jeff Broderick, who teaches sculpture.
Yeah.
But we never had that class together. I just remember seeing you around. I don't know if that time you were a theater major at ACU or working with the theater. But I remember seeing you, but I don't think we ever interacted until you write the Maker Lab. Working with the TED Talk.
Before that, we did. I had already graduated and left ACU, and was asked to come back to design Sarah Rule's Dead Man's Cell Phone, and at the time, I was really interested in recycled materials and kind of a cradle-to-grave methodology with scenic design because it all goes in the trash mostly afterwards. And so we found some chain link fence and went to the central operative there on campus that collects all the recycling and collected all the water bottles and put a water bottle into each chain link fence until we had created an entire backdrop. And I also recycled all the paper on campus, and we shredded it and made our own large, like 3 foot by 3 foot paper panels and connected those together for some more scenic design. But where you came in and were so helpful was in building the furniture. Do you remember the furniture that we built on the CNC? I don't know.
Yes.
So I brought in a design. You helped me mock it up and put it on the CNC router. And we built it out of foam first to see if the pieces would connect. And tabs and all the different things, the different vocabulary around it, and then we built it out at MDF. And I know the complaint from the actors was it was too heavy, but man, it was really good-looking furniture, and I couldn't have done it without your help. There's just no way I could have made that project happen.
Well, I appreciate that. The Maker Lab was such a sandbox for adults to try things out and prototype. And I remember, and I think you'll remember this too, part of working with you on that project inspired me to also use the plastic bottles inside the ASU letters for the TED Talk.
Yeah, that's right.
And, so again, this kind of a collaborative process of, working with someone from different areas and disciplines and then, trying ideas out. And yes, now that you mentioned that, I remember we built those.
Yeah, we built that.
Yeah, it was also very modular in the sense because the tabs allowed you to kind of fold and unfold them easily, and then kind of flat the chairs down for storage, and then when needed, you could kind of put it back together.
Well, so let's talk about the Makers Lab for a second. So for our audience that's listening, I know we talk a lot about my alma mater, ACU, and the great things that they're doing, and not to take anything away from the other universities, but has it been 10 years? Has it been longer than that for Makers Lab? 15?
11.
11
years now. It was officially fall of 2014.
Okay, so this is a lab that is now in the library, and it's an established place that students, people from the community, anybody, it's available really to anybody.
Yes, it is open to the public.
And in the lab, there's a number of tools, CNC routing machines, carpentry tools, some metalworking tools, not so much.
I think very limited from cutting. I'm not sure if welding.
But you have laser printers and...
Yes, 3D printers. Yeah, it's a maker space.
Yeah.
And at the time when the dean of the library at that time, Dr. John Weaver, pitched creating a maker space in our library, it seems just like the right timing because a lot of other education institutions were just considering having a maker space in their campus. And I was teaching a packaging design class, which prototyping is important. And we did kind of a pilot class there in the fall of 2013. And again, I was just like, someone interested, I guess maybe because of my background in industrial design and all that, teaching packaging design class. And then from there, John Weaver invited me to be a little bit more involved, and I became the director. And then we started to kind of now think a little bit kind of deeper into how to embed the idea of makerspace in our campus tied to curriculum development and et cetera. I didn't want that to just be a shop where you could go and then cut, plywood, sheet of wood or have 3D printed pieces. Kind of mostly interested in how that could kind of maybe change the content of a course that is now considering the makerspace as a place where students can learn by doing. And really interesting, Travis, what that did to the whole campus was that in a way it shifted a little bit the conversations about design and creativity that maybe sometimes happen at our department, art and design, maybe at your department, theater. And it kind of put in the center, literally geographically in the center of our campus, but open up a new space for all the disciplines also to kind of see creativity as something that was accessible to them. So we started kind of promoting a lot of workshops and inviting a lot of folks to come in and say, hey, yes, you can build all these kind of fun things here, but there is also a kind of an educational, pedagogical aspect of, why we want the students to come to the Maker Lab and be involved in that. And I think that had to do mostly with the idea of, creativity, creative problem solving, prototyping. And at first we were still very focused on the ACU community, but then we definitely wanted to be kind of embedded a little bit more within the Abilene community. So we opened the Maker Lab also for folks who, had a one-off project that they needed to use the laser cutter to cut wood or paper or cardboard or whatever that would be, engrave on metal. So we had the tools, the expertise, and then we definitely wanted to kind of open up and help others that needed like a very specialty tool to work on a project.
Well, I think it's a wonderful resource, and I've used it a handful of times over the years. Most recently, I guess last spring, we took some plastic up there and had some laser cutting done so that we could do some bleach projects on shirts, make a template. And that was really just, so the young lady that was there was super helpful. It didn't take us very long. We just had to bring in our materials. It was wonderful. But I've also heard, so I want to be gentle here, but I've heard the critique or the criticism of the Maker's Lab is that when a professor chooses to use it for a class assigned project, and there's maybe 10 or 20 students in the class, and everyone's required to use the Maker's Lab for this project, as you would imagine, towards the end of the semester, when the project's due, all 20 people are scrambling maybe to use the same tool or tools, and it can get, there's a bottleneck. There's a bottleneck, to put it gently, right? So I can see, and I'm not sure what you do unless you just expand the Maker's Lab to be bigger. But another thing I've been thinking about with the Maker's Lab is that there used to be a department on campus called Industrial Arts, the Industrial Arts program, and it was located right in front of Teague. And I remember walking in there and looking at all their wonderful tools. I think the scene shop adopted some when they closed the department down. But it seemed to me that that was the place on campus where making and creating was happening. They were building incredible things. And the Maker's Lab is an important place to have access to all these various tools that are helpful. And I also think it's really helpful for students that maybe have never made something three-dimensionally before to have that experience. But how else do you think the Maker's Lab could continue to be like an important foundational part of campus and art and design, like moving forward, as you've seen the pros and cons over the years? Yes,
and again, just as disclosure, I was director for 5 years, and then after that, I was in for 2, and I did 5, and I felt like at that time then that I needed to just go back to full-time teaching and all of that. So currently, Chai Green is the director of the Maker Lab. So there are some interesting things that you mentioned in there. One, there is definitely that kind of a bottlenecking that happens, especially during times that courses will coincide with requiring students to execute their ideas at the Maker Lab because of the tools they have, like a project that really asks for a 3D printer, and then the Maker Lab, let's say, I think the engineering department now has a small, like a mini Maker Lab for them with 3D printers too. But let's just assume that if the Maker Lab would be the only place where you could get something 3D printed, then everybody's now funneling to the Maker Lab, and then really there isn't, at least for the time when I was director there, like an ideal way of managing, except for just making sure that we were communicating with the professor saying, hey, for that week, that tool is going to be blocked for this class. Can you guys adjust the deadline for your assignment? Or even, like you're saying, someone from the community goes there, and then now the whole week is blocked for a class, and then now what are they going to do, right? So definitely there were, and I still believe there are times like that.
Which I think should be an indication that these tools are valuable, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it was at first kind of up in the air when we thought about the makerspace at ACU, and specifically located in the library. There was always a little bit of this kind of a question of is it really needed, or for how long that's going to be a thing? Is it trendy right now because everyone is doing it? And then definitely we were intentional about not making that just like a trend, like, oh, we're going to do this for 5 years and then, we're going to be done. And it is really nice to see that they continue to be booked most of the time. They have gotten additional equipment. Now they have, I think, 4 laser cutters instead of only 1 from the time when we were there. Bigger also bad for cutting area. Just yesterday I swung by and I saw a new shop bought a new router, CNC router to cut plywood. So I think they are adjusting and making maybe improvements as also they identify the needs. Like some areas that seem to be the ones that need more growth than others. At first we also tried, let's do some kind of a ladder station here. Let's do like vacuum forming, just kind of ways to allow students to kind of experience that as well as we did with Arduino stations, like an area that was kind of dedicated to, robotic coding, this type of, technology embedded with, old kind of techniques. And I think it was fun to do that at the time, but definitely later on, you kind of have a better sense of the areas that seem to be more demanding based on those assignments, or where, you see more kind of as users coming to the Maker Lab and using those tools. So yeah, it was a really great time for me. I think kind of just thinking back, going back and imagining from the days when we were just starting and where the Maker Lab is today. There was, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time when we had Maker Fests with kids offered during the summertime, summer camps.
Stuff,
like just day camps divided by age group. And again, it was kind of one way to promote, not only to promote, the campus, to have, kids to come to our campus, but to promote this idea of tinkering and creative problem solving really early. And I remembered some of those kids, as they went to those camps, they continued to go the year after that, and some of them actually end up coming to ASU as an engineering student or as a design student. So you see, when early on we kind of plant that seed in their minds, and then they kind of grow and kind of develop that and get really inspired by. I was really a big fan of those times, working especially with the younger kids. And then we had maker fairs to showcase the projects that we did. We had also some scholarship funding for faculty that wanted to be like a maker in residence. Like I had some colleagues who applied for specialized projects that they could use the Maker Lab to make the project happen. So it was really a fun time for me.
Do you think moving forward, and here's the segue into artificial intelligence, but as we continue to hurtle forward towards this unknown future of AGI, how do you think that that's going to impact and influence making in the Maker's Lab and creating things in 3D? And I'll just say this before I hand the question over to you. Computers, for the most part, still can't create in 3 dimensions entirely, right? I mean, we can program robotic arms or 3D print, and it's very much computer generated. But to my knowledge, unless you're prompting the computer specifically, it's not going to come up on its own with a concept that it wants to produce in 3 dimensions yet. But I wonder, as we move forward with all this, and this is why I'm curious to your thoughts about all this, how do you think that will impact making in the future?
Again, I think when we arrive at the point when we are always asking those questions, as the power of the technology facing a discipline, right? In this case, making, etc. My approach is always like going back to seeing it as a tool in a way that is like, okay, as you mentioned, yeah, the computer won't do anything if it isn't prompted by the user, or if there is a code that asks the computer to do certain things. To me, in the end, I think it empowers us to continue to think creatively. And what I mean by that is, if you imagine, just like before these technologies became available, not that they existed, 3D printer was patented in like 1970s, if I'm not mistaken here. Just the technology wasn't available for everyone. But then as it became more available and we now use it more often, never imagined that a house today could be 3D printed, right? So I think the parallel that I'm trying to trace there is, now that we have access to certain technologies, it kind of opens a space for us now to think on how we may be able to apply that technology for some purposes. Like, I think it's going to continue to just open up more possibilities here. I think AI, I don't know how we want to go back to it. I'll let you ask the question on AI. For now, I'm going to just stay with that answer.
Well,
for now.
it isn't, just talking about 3D printing, and you mentioned homes and
or organs,
or organs. Yeah,
yes,
meat.
I mean it's
we're printing. The sky's the limit now on what we're able to print, as long as we have the material to feed it or grow it in the dish, whatever.
Yeah. So the parallel, as the technology becomes available, also researchers will think of the different materials that we can feed through the printer, or the way that the object has been printed, if you will. I want to do the air quotes here, because it doesn't have to be always the extrusion, like
there's
the
additive
filament,
and
right,
subtractive, right? So,
yes, or sintering, like using metal powder and then a laser beam sinters a layer, and then it moves to the next, and then you can use like metal for building 3D printed objects out of metal. And then eventually, again, like these biomaterials now. So again, it's like, okay, the technology is there now. What can we do with the technology? And I think, again, it kind of goes back to the ethos of the Maker Lab. It was like to open up to our community, like the availability of these tools, and then kind of ask them the question, what can you do with this now? You know, and then saying, hey, don't just kind of settle on engraving your name on a little piece of wood, right? Go beyond that. What else can we do it? And with that, we tried, like carving pumpkins, you know what I'm saying? Or, engraving a sausage with, a brand on it using the laser, so it is fun. I think in a way, and I think it's always that question when we are facing new technologies and we try to kind of paint a sharper picture of the future on how that may impact our lives. We could get a little bit skeptical, we could be a little bit afraid of, but to me, I think it continues to just kind of empower us to embrace the technology and kind of see its application. And I think to me, there is always a ripple effect out of that, and then we'll find some good out of that.
Well, and thinking about your position as a teacher in the art department and watching students come in, have access to these various tools, it seems to me that it's transformative for a lot of students to be able to take an idea and bring it into reality, to bring it into a three-dimensional reality, and maybe empowering also. What are some of your thoughts about that?
Yes, no question about that. From the aspect of building something three-dimensionally, but also just like something that exists just digitally in these zeros and ones there, like a digital camera or other tools that can be used for content creation. I think as we are now, let's maybe say say it this way, as we are now in this sort of a transitional moment, going back to AI now, and specifically as it relates to my practice, to my field in graphic design, we've been having conversations in the department that I think are valid conversations that we must have, and ask questions such as, what is the education of a graphic designer in light of AI?
Yeah.
And because there will be an impact in our industry due to that. And if at the moment when we ask that question, and then we begin maybe having this intentional process, thinking through on how we may pivot a little bit and how we may change, but with the same idea of considering, again, this being a tool, and then how our students can kind of learn how to use it and access it and be empowered. And to me, one of the easy answers would be clerical applications of design that would be just like time consuming, could be done through AI, and that frees time for me to apply my creative, powers to problem solving or strategy development or coming up with ideas. So once I have come up with a design, I would feel very comfortable in a way handing that off to the AI to generate the touch points, because in a way, most of the time for us is just kind of going back to using reference images to apply the design to it. And if AI can do that for us and let me think a little bit more about the design itself, I think that is empowering.
Yeah. I have not explored playing with the LLMs that much. I've got a few hours under my belt probably. But I'm wondering, as these tools get more user friendly and the interface becomes easier for those of us that aren't super technically minded, to me it still feels like if I really wanted to push ChatGPT, let's say, to do more for me, right? Like I can kind of see like, oh, this has a ton of applications. Maybe I want to build an app or something like this, right? A website. I mean, it can do all these things now, but the user interface doesn't feel very intuitive to me yet. And I think as that probably polishes up over the next years, I'm trying to be excited about what the future is going to look like with artificial intelligence driving all of our decision making, where right now it's just driving like 70% of our decision making that we're aware of,
Yes, it is. It is a little bit of a scary thought. It will get better. There is no question about it. It is here. It's not like it's going to be here soon and then we all needed to subscribe to it. It is already here. I think it's getting better. It will get better. Again, going back to my practice, I can speak well in that sense. Like if AI could provide me a mood board for a project, that it's going to be much faster to get it done, and in a way then more efficient. Yes, definitely I would say do it. I'm going to do it because it's going to save me some time. I think the things that we should be concerned about is, again, like the job replacement or the decision making that you're talking about, when it gets to a point that then, it may feel just for us, a little bit of out of control in a way, right? And I think that's what maybe everybody is really, in a way, kind of concerned about, and then that they want to make sure that, the genie is not going to be out of the bottle in that sense. So.
Well, I think about, and we're just having conversation here, Neil, but I think about like when Google first started and I was at ACU and using like Google image search for research and design, let's say for a scenic design. And even then it was important to use good prompts to try to get what you were looking for. Like just, send me a picture of a lion. And I really felt that early on that like, oh, I know how to use this tool maybe a little bit better than my peers because I'm asking better questions, right, in the
Right.
prompt. And then I'm seeing that now happen too, where these large language models, they've kind of scoured the data that's available, and now it's sort of regurgitating that back to us just in a probability statistical way that, oh wow, I can't believe it came up with that. So I'm going to try to tie this into this other idea. So this idea of like searching the internet for a lion, and the same lion keeps popping up over and over and over and over again. And in my other field of tattooing, this has been a subject for a long time. Like, go take a picture of a lion and use that for your reference, right? We can do it on our phone now. And that's going to be a much better reference photo for you than that one lion that everybody on the internet has already tattooed 1,000 times. And so the corollary then is with talking to ChatGPT or whatever model, am I getting the same lion over and over and over again? Are we all just kind of getting that same prompt, that same feedback, And it's hard to know, like, is this really unique or original? And it probably isn't. I think that's maybe where the human part still has to come into play. I don't know, I'm just riffing here, Neil.
No, I think you are hitting on very important points there too, because in a way, some of us, when, let's say, using the lion example that you're saying there, like if I wanted to come up with an illustration of a lion, it quite possibly is coming from that information, my preconcepts of what a lion is, that I'm putting together, and then I'm drawing that. And again, it kind of goes into that idea of originality or not. It's hard today for us to really define what is original or originality, because we've been already informed of those things. And by being informed, naturally, that kind of becomes a pre-concept. And then the question would be, is AI kind of doing the same too? When you prompt an AI tool to give me an image of a lion, if it's kind of mimicking in a way the way that we may think of what a lion looks like in terms of the elements, shapes, and everything, and texture. The prompts, I think, will definitely maybe be where the originality may be possible. That makes a lion different from me and a lion different for you from the same tool. Let's say if we all go to ChatGPT and then we prompt ChatGPT to generate a lion picture. But yeah, it's I think the technology being disruptive as is right now, we are still on this kind of a reactive mode of also learning how to kind of handle the technology and prompt. And I can share this with you in my photography class when we talk a little bit about taking pictures with our phones. The phones now being also cameras that we all carry them everywhere all the time. And Travis, you and I, we can relate to this. The first years, the early years of, let's say, Instagram or Facebook, that people just flooded those social media with photographs of food that they were about to eat. And
with a filter on it too.
With a filter, or the ones that I used to show my students is like terrible pictures of food that makes you like, I don't want to eat there. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a joke in a way. But we were all doing that because we didn't know how to also respond to that. We were learning. I mean, I'm using food as a PG-13 reference here to the podcast. But everything that people were doing at the time, they thought they would snap a picture and then share that on social media. And we evolved as a society, we learned, and we created guardrails and, established like some curating is important and this and that.
Just real quickly to interrupt you, I was talking to my dad the other day, and we brought this up about he doesn't get to see pictures of the kids as much anymore Well, when Facebook first came out, we told everybody, hey, if you want to see pictures of the kids, get on Facebook, get an account, get on Facebook, and that's how you can see the pictures that were taken of the kids all the time. And even that shifted away to where more, I'm certainly one of these people, I'm more reluctant to share personal stuff, right? Because
Yes.
we've all kind of figured out that the social media internet that we all participate in is sort of a view into my world, and I can make it look the way I like the food. I can make it look the way I want it to look to share with you, and look at this wonderful, nice meal that I made.
Yeah.
It was actually my neighbor's meal. You know, there's not truth in it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a couple of things there, going back to your last word, truth. I think for us, it's maybe the transparency that we expect to see if something was created by an AI tool or not. And I think that's where a lot of us are kind of a little bit getting upset and frustrated. Is like, I think the line is very blurry right now. And if we lose that, again, as a society, when what we see may be AI generated and then we believe it's not, it's kind of where it's going to get really complicated there and really messy.
And,
you know
and
what I'm
it's
saying?
happening like really quickly
It
too.
is,
I mean,
it is.
I've noticed this over the last few months. Like I'm a huge TikTok junkie, but I'll have to kind of look and see the fine print. Is this AI generated or not? And
Yes.
I'm grateful that it's there, because
Yes.
more and more I'm looking for that as kind of a, I don't know, guardrails, I guess, for my own sanity a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's fake. So take that as just straight entertainment, you know?
And since we are on the topic of social media and all that, Facebook, on and off you see a post, and I've been doing this lately now, reading through the comments of something that appears, and to me it's pretty clear that it's fake. And it's AI generated. But you're right, now there are a little kind of a line that says, possibly generated by AI. But then you read through the comments of people that still believe that it is what it is. And some people are saying, no, that is not possible, that is fake. So again, right now we are still kind of learning how to kind of handle those truths. You know what I'm saying? And I think this level of transparency as we move forward, because we're going to continue to see more and more. And I think, again, social media is doing a good job with fake news. We learn from that too, right? We adapted. And I think with AI, there will be also guardrails that then it'll inform us a little bit more on whether something it is, real or it was created, through AI. Because I think that's going to get really messy and it could go, the wrong way.
Do you think in the future that some of these promises of AI will come? I mean, I know it's having a huge impact right now in a lot of different areas, but I guess one of my kind of things I'm a little stalwart about over here is that I'm questioning whether or not it's going to be able to come up with original ideas. Talk about solving cancer or something. It's going to be the new God, and it'll help us all. It'll direct every aspect of our lives. That sounds scary to me. And again, if it's just searching all the data that we've fed it and trying to come up with new and novel ways to put that together and share it with us, that's just novel. It's not necessarily new. And so I'm a little concerned about, is the carrot at the end of the stick for us on this one, that we're just being told, don't worry about it.
It would be so much easier to just go with that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, but there is definitely concern and considerations if we don't do it right. And I'm not talking Terminator, scenario here.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, what if, financially it just messes up the whole world? The implications of that, right? Like a lot of people will suffer and die, and just again one side of possibilities out of so many more possibilities that an AI tool could mess up our lives. So I think, yes, it is important. Wouldn't be nice to only see the good things that could come out of it, right? Like you mentioned, okay, a cure for cancer. Now the processing power that we see, the gathering of information, and at the same time, the power to synthesize that, and the velocity which it does would be, amazing. And if we could use AI tools in that sense, things that for us takes a lot more work in a longer time that could be done easier, and then now we could enjoy more time with our grandkids. You know what I'm saying? And I think again it's just a matter of maybe time. Eventually what happens, Travis, to me is like time is so relative now, in relation to the development of new technologies. It happens much faster now. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, going back to my class, when I showed students the brownie, from the time when, the two Frenchmen were just playing with the possibility of capturing an image on a surface. Daguerre and Niepce, these were the two Frenchmen in 1822, considering like, can we make an image permanent on a surface, right? And then they figured it out how to do it. Around 1826. They present to the French Society of Research and Inventors, and patent that. And about 1902, the first brownie was patented. So almost 80 years in a way, let's say. When I show these slides to the students, I comment as in almost 100 years later, right? Then you have the brownie, and photography becomes now accessible to everybody.
And changes
culture,
everything,
right?
changes history.
Changes everything. And kind of, parallel to that, the internet kind of caused the same ripple effect. But then things started to happen a lot faster. And so it's like, okay, just now this idea of AI that now is being really kind of a broadcast as its broadest applications. And we are thinking here like maybe in 10 years there'll be this. Well, I tell you,
It'll be
most
fast.
likely in 2 years. What are you thinking that it's going to happen in 10 years? It's going to be here.
Well,
it's going to happen.
So I was watching some of the old shows from last year, the Travi Wavi, and I think I had D. Grant on and made a comment about artificial intelligence and how the things that were coming down the pike a year ago, just kind of in the news feed, and starting to share some general concerns. And at that point, they had broken ground on the Stargate facility north of town, but it wasn't. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what was happening. It wasn't until January when the new administration came in and made a big announcement, put Abilene on the map, and the amount of progress that's happened since January out there. I mean, I drove on the loop yesterday. I was driving home on the loop, and there's just a couple miles. You can look over there to the north, and I was beside myself looking at the amount of buildings that have gone up in just since July was probably the last time I put eyes on it. So we're not only talking about the speed of the computers continually getting better and faster, like in a week, just doubling its ability to perform, but also the physical infrastructure that we're building in the 3D to hold all this computer processing. And it is what? It's November. I expect that by January there'll be some more huge headlines about all this.
Yes. It's a fast paced now. I think again, a lot has to do with computing power that it's being developed. The computers are becoming a lot faster, and because of that, we can also push the boundaries faster too. Add more to what computers can do. Again, going back to thinking about this kind of industrial technological evolution, right? we've heard how the first moon lander computing power was a lot less than what we have in our phones, right? I mean, and it is really true. But in relation to that, it's really interesting that the possibilities that has opened up. I just want to make a parallel comment on this one here, Travis, because I find that one fascinating. So as we mentioned, the moon lander and space exploration, which is in an area that I find it really fascinating, where we are going to recently, and specifically in the case of Stargate? No, not Stargate. Stargate is the AI.
The AI, yeah.
The AI thing here. What is Starship? Anyways, I needed to go back and do a little bit more reading on that. The possibility to land those rocket boosters on platforms. That again, well, and now recently, the recent development on that has been what I call the chopstick. The rocket comes back to the
it gets caught.
To the tower, and it gets caught. Again, it's quite possible here that we are talking about only that being possible. Eventually, there is a moment when someone in that team said, "Hey, can we do this?" Right? And people may have looked at this guy like, "Well, maybe, I don't know. That's kind of a weird idea, but maybe let's try." But the only reason that can be done today is also, again, has to do with how much just computing power is going on, making the navigations and then the tiny adjustments for that rocket booster to fly and return and then be reused. So
I mean, if we just we're not going to get on the rocket subject too hard today, but if you think about back in the 50s or 60s, or if anyone's ever had a model rocket, right? It's just a little solid state booster like a firework, goes up, comes down, and basically that's the technology we were working with for a long time. And now, like you said, with processing power, with compute, with robotics, with the ability to mix fuels and change the booster thruster positions and all the things and have it almost be automatic. That's a game changer.
Yeah, it is. Or the spaceships now, basically they fly autonomous, right? Autonomous mode. And I think in a way now, really, I was thinking about talking about space exploration in a way that could kind of go back to that first comments we had here earlier in the show, as it related to the Maker Lab being that sandbox. And I'm not saying that the idea was there, but what I'm saying is like that I think in a way also we as a society have now arrived at a point that we could ask a little bit more of those questions, like what if questions. Again, the technology is certainly supporting those kind of thoughts. What if we can do this now? And then there was a time that maybe that would be really hard and difficult to do it. But today, with creative problem solving in general, the way that we have approached so many of these, embracing so many of these disruptive technologies, I think it definitely is putting us, again, as a society, with a mindset of coming up with really incredible solutions. And again, just rethinking the way that we do things, right? Because I think the booster is still an interesting example as how rockets were launched into space and how rockets are now launched into space. And it has definitely changed the way that, they approach that, so.
And even the way we build the rockets. I mean, I think a lot of those are 3D printed now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, the engines have gotten smaller because of the 3D printing and all that.
Yep. So we're definitely just bracing for the future, I think, at this point. It's coming at us. It's coming at us strong.
Furious and fast. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up a little bit today, I know we covered some interesting subjects, but was there anything that you really wanted to bring to the channel and discuss today? Anything important?
I just want to say that I had a really great time talking. Travis, appreciate your friendship your candor. I appreciate just you being a great guy. I miss working on some projects
know.
together.
Just call me up.
Hopefully we'll maybe be able to collaborate. And again, I don't know if I hope there is not a kind of a sad tone coming out of that conversation. I think the future is great, is bright. It is an incredible time to be alive.
It is. Yeah. We're living in, history is just unfolding around us, and it's picking up pace. And, I know a lot of us don't really have the headspace or the time to sit back and think and contemplate about all these miracles that are happening around us at such a breakneck speed. But for those of us that do have the blessing of a little bit of time to sit back and consider and think and maybe offer a critique, I want it to be helpful. I don't want to be a fearmonger about the future, right. But it's important, maybe at least for me, to be aware of where we're at in this period of time, and kind of like a lion on the Serengeti, just watching to see if there's some sort of threat coming our way so we can protect the herd.
Yeah, earlier we were just talking off before the show started. I don't want to, we can romanticize a little bit about certain things that we used to practice, like film photography for me, and then now it's mostly digital, right? And it's okay, I think, to maybe just kind of think that way. But I am super excited for the future that my granddaughter is going to grow up in. At the same time, I think she's going to find a different world, different technologies that will be available. So, that gives me a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it does. Well, any final thoughts for today, friend? Pretty good.
Awesome. You guys are awesome.
Well, I appreciate you being here today, and Tim, thanks for helping out behind the camera. Do we need to get Sam over here to get us out? Okay, Sam's there too. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Anyway, it's a beautiful day in Abilene, downtown Abilene, Texas, storybook capital of America, where we bring you the Travi Wavi every week, Thursdays around 10 o'clock. I've got some wonderful special characters coming for the next few Thursdays, and tune in for that. You're always welcome to come down and grab a cup of coffee next door at Majestic Coffee Shop, allegedly serving Onyx coffee, and come in and sit and watch Breakdown with Ben, I think following today, and Sunday evenings at 8, singer-songwriter open mic. There's a lot of activities happening in Abilene coming up as we get into the holiday season. We'll try to bring you some more of those dates, like the Christmas parade and things of that nature coming up. Neil Santana, thank you so much for joining me today. Always enjoy our discussions.
My pleasure.
We'll have to have a cold beer soon and talk about it some more.
Will do, friend.
And maybe get you back on. Okay.
Sure thing.
All right, friends. Thank you, and signing off from the Travi Wavi.